Hello and welcome back to the Human Trafficking Files. Today I want to talk about an actual case that I was a part of involving a boy that was trafficked by someone he thought he could trust. Initially, a heroic figure to him. So, just so you know, I've changed his name, certain details, because I want to protect his privacy. He is now doing well. He's going on with life. But let me tell you about how it happened to him. So, Jimmy was a single child living with a single mom, and that poor woman was doing the best she could. She was working two jobs to keep her head afloat. And what happened to Jimmy is not her fault. She was doing the best she could to deal with an absentee father and raising a little boy. And in school, he began to get bullied, was called names, and was really made to feel as if he didn't belong. He was treated as an outcast. And he turned to online gaming as his escape. There he thought he was, and he was accepted, he was liked, he played well, so he got approval, all the things he was seeking. And again, his mom is working her tail off just to put food on the table, keep the heat on, and a roof over their head. So with her gone a lot, he gets more and more into gaming. It's his safe space. And over time, he makes a friend online. And this friend starts asking questions, and Jimmy tells him how unhappy he is, how he gets picked on. And Jimmy thought he found a friend, a real empathetic figure. And, he said, look, you're a great guy. You're awesome. All the things that we want to hear to help validate who we are, feel better about ourselves. Well, at one point, after several months, this friend suggests that they meet. And Jimmy's like, great, let's get together. Let's meet after school. And his friend told him, well, I live in this part of the city. You need to take a bus, come down here. And Jimmy did. And when he got there, he found out that his friend, who he thought was another boy, turned out to be an adult male. Now, initially, this adult male was friendly and warm to him. He bought him things like ice cream and took him out for meals, food that he wasn't used to getting, eating well. And they started doing stuff together and hanging out. So we thought, wow, I've an older person accepts me and likes who I am and likes me for me. And I'm sure you can guess where this is going. So over time, this male who became a father figure to him said, hey, you know what? Why don't you come live with me? I'll be the dad you never had. I can protect you better than your mother. Those kids will never bother you again. You won't get beat up after school. You won't get picked on. And to Jimmy, being only 10 years old, he thought, well, that sounds pretty good to me. So Jimmy ran away. It's not that he didn't love his mother, but he found happiness and acceptance. So he ran away to this guy one day, brought his backpack, and the first night things are great. They went out to dinner, they hung out, they actually did some online gaming together. It was great. The next day, things turned very, very dark for Jimmy. And this man who he thought cared for him and was going to protect him began selling Jimmy to other men. And this went on for quite some time. At this point, Jimmy was trapped effectively, and he was given some kind of substance to kind of keep him subdued, which makes him easier to control. And this went on, as I said, for a number of months. Now, obviously, mom didn't take but a few days for her to realize, okay, something's really wrong here. Jimmy's not here. He didn't leave a note. He just went. And she alerted the police. They, created a file for him, opened a case, pictures, all that. But sadly, in the meantime, Jimmy is being horribly victimized by, again, this man he thought was his friend. Eventually, Jimmy was able to get away and get out in public and run for help. He actually ran into a store and flagged down an employee of that store. And again, I'm not going to tell you which store, which employee, but this person said, yeah, he was obviously taken aback, but said, okay, let me go get my manager. Manager called the police. Police came in, and that, uh, in effect, rescued Jimmy. And from there, they were able to go and nail this predator. And they found out he'd been on their radar for some time. Most police departments have a human trafficking division. And this time, they had the goods on him. Unfortunately, for Jimmy, he was damaged, and I won't say permanently. He went into therapy. He got the help he needed. There were a lot of good people. As I said, there were organizations out there, and I will list those and talk about each one. Some focus on rescue, some focus on post-rescue recovery and healing. Uh, my understanding now is Jimmy's doing very well. He is later in his teens, and that's all I'm going to say. But uh, he was rescued. But again, as we talked about in a prior video, only about 1% of human trafficking victims, and that includes labor trafficking, sex trafficking, have actually been identified. And it was a blessing that he was rescued, but he will probably have that baggage, so to speak, and be a lot less trusting for the rest of his life, and who can blame him? So I tell you this because it gives you some idea of how insidious the predators are, how they operate, how they groom their victims. And my prior video, I talked about online gaming, things that parents and kids should be aware of. So I hope this helps. Please like, subscribe, and share. Pass the word. And I will have more cases I'll talk about, because I think in sharing these cases, it paints a picture. And for some people, it's better to grasp onto that, a real life incident, and from there move forward to protect their own children, themselves, and others, and also to be more alert for the victims that are out there that have yet to be identified. So thank you as always for your time. I really appreciate it, and we'll see you next time. Take care.